Hello, folks. Welcome back to yet another edition of the Bibs Corner podcast. We are back tonight with a movie recap podcast. This is episode 15, and I believe the fourth or fifth movie recap pod. The movie side will be taking over once the Mavericks are eliminated from the playoffs. This was been an interesting ride. The podcast has kind of taken off over the past week or so, and I'm trying to see if I can get some of that to trickle over to the movie side. We'll see. I came into this week with big plans to watch 3 movies. If you listen to the last weekly movie recap, and I did not watch any of those 3 movies. I ended up only watching 1 movie this week, and the reason that happened is because I had a lot of things that came up during the week. I had some issues with my internet, and I contacted AT&T and found out some. I was gonna say, I found out that they, the guy that came out to set us up when we moved, pulled some BS. I'll probably put that at the end, just as a bonus segment. But yeah, I went through my emails and saw a lot of indie movies that I've kind of overlooked, and I came into this year with big plans to try to cover as many indie films and TV shows, things, because I get a lot of emails from whether it's the actual creators themselves or like a PR company that they've hired to promote their work. So I try to go through that as much as possible. And I had tried to. I came into the year really, really strong on that, and the pandemic threw everything off. And I'm trying to get back to that. So I went through those emails. I was in touch with my editors at the websites I write for, Netflix Life and Hidden Remote, about some plans for making sure that I'm putting out as much as I can for both sites. And kind of, I laid out a schedule of the different films and whatnot that are coming out at different points this month. And then from there, I saw that Limbo, which is the movie I watched this week, is coming out this weekend. And so I definitely wanted to watch that. I did. I'm going to be writing a review for that one as well. But that ended up being the only movie I watched this week. There's a lot of good basketball, too. So that's been a huge distraction on the movie side for me. But with that all said, Limbo was a very pleasant surprise. I liked the trailer. I still wasn't sure what I was getting into. I saw some familiar faces, heard some familiar names, and figured I'd check it out, give it a shot. Definitely pleasantly surprised, excited to talk about this movie, and we'll get into that on the other side of the break. Okay, welcome back to the Bibs Corner podcast. Again, this is episode 15. The podcast has kind of taken off over the past week or so on the sports side, and I'm trying to see if I can get some of that to trickle over to the film side. I definitely had a much easier time promoting the website and everything on the sports side and building that audience and what have you. The movie side is a work in progress, which is funny because the movie side is the part that I want to pursue long term, and the sports side is just something I enjoy for fun. It's just a hobby. I like talking junk about sports. So with that said, let's jump straight into this review. So Limbo, let's start with the cast first, actually. There's a lot of faces, so none of these names are really that huge. Some of them are, I guess, depending on who you are, what you're into. So, Scotty Thompson is a name. She plays a major role in this film. You may know her from 12 Monkeys or NCIS. I think she was Dr. Jean Benoit on NCIS, or Vivian Rutledge on 12 Monkeys. You have Temple, who is another guy who's shown up in a lot of different things. When you go to his IMDb, they list him for The Devil's Rejects, as Adam Banjo, or Ned in the movie Unstoppable, with Denzel and Chris Pine. But he's been in a lot of different things. He's the main character, really, in this movie. You have Peter Jacobson, who was in House, Dr. Chris Taub, and a show that doesn't get enough love that I really loved and still am upset about it being canceled, Colony, which was on USA for a while. If you haven't seen that, definitely hit up Netflix and check it out. I wrote some articles when the show was canceled, and I wrote an article about where all the actors were going to be, and after the show got canceled. And those articles still get tons of views, and especially like the series finale article, because I imagine people watch it on Netflix and are like, what the heck, like what's next, like what's coming, because that is a show that got better every single season. And that final season, which shouldn't have been a final season, it gives you sort of an ending, but the ending is also a beginning. And if you watch that show without realizing that it's not coming back, I can imagine that feeling is probably devastating. It was tough for me as a fan of the show. But anyway, he plays a very key role in that show, and he has a fun character in this movie as well. Another guy is Richard Reel, who has been in a lot of stuff as well. He's listed, his top 4 known fors are The Man from Earth, Casino, Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo, and Office Space. He played Tom Smikowski on Office Space. So again, these are people you're not necessarily going to know by name, but you'll know by face. The biggest real name probably is James Purefoy. You may know him from The Following. He plays Joe Carroll in The Following, the serial killer. He was in A Knight's Tale, Rome. He played Mark Anthony, and he was in High Rise, is the most recent film that he was in. Again, a lot of people you're not necessarily going to know by name, but you will know them when you see them on the screen. And then a nice role for kind of a newcomer in Lucien Charles Collier, who plays a key role in this movie. So let's get it started. Let's get into the movie. What is it about? Limbo. So you hear that name, Limbo, and you probably have some ideas what we're dealing with, the afterlife in some effect. And I really enjoy the way they just kind of thrust you into it. So the movie starts with our guy, excuse me, Lou Temple, kind of sitting in what looks to be a dusty interrogation type room. And he's sitting across from Lucian's character and confused, basically, about where he is. You get like a flash of a gunshot, but you don't really get a full idea as to what's happened. So Lucian just kind of comes in with a matter-of-fact attitude and starts talking to the guy about, what do you know why you're here? And he's like, no, I'm really confused. He was like, how did I get here? And, Lucian tells him, you were brought here directly from the hospital. And, he thinks, Lou Temple thinks, if I'm not under arrest, I can leave. Like, you're not going to interrogate me. And so he tries to leave before he realizes he goes out 2 doors, and then, Lucian doesn't even react. And he's like, yeah, buddy, you're not going anywhere. You're dead. And so now he has to realize, what's going on. And Lucian tells him, my name is Balthazar. And basically he's being judged. Like, this is your judgment. And so they go through the story of what happened to him, how he got there, his final acts, which are very criminal. And so the guy's like, yeah, this is pretty open shut case. You're going to hell, basically. Then Scotty Temple is her name. Was that her name? I just probably made that up. I feel like I'm mixing names now. Scotty Thompson. There we go. Scotty Thompson shows up in her all white, and she's the angel that has been sent to defend him, basically, and say why he should go to heaven instead of hell. And, Lucian is like, are you serious? This guy is the worst of the worst. Like, why Why would God send somebody to help him get into heaven, type of thing? And they kind of spar back and forth, and basically over the course of the movie, they go through different events in his life. They call witnesses, if you will. So like they'll basically pull out some folders, like they're cops going through a file, and they'll say a name, and a demon or what have you will show up with that person whose name they say to come testify about how he affected their lives, whether it was negative or positive. They allow him to tell some stories to try to make his case as to why he shouldn't go to hell. And it was very interesting, like the way they did it. And it's kind of suspenseful, it's mysterious, but it's a comedy as well. There's funny elements. There were some things that were borderline goofy, but not really. Like the demons had horns for the most part, but they weren't like full horns, like they were broken off, like they were old. There's a lot of jokes. There is some lewd humor. For example, Lou Temple is left alone with the stenographer played by Richard Reel, and he asks him, like, what is it like in hell? And he kind of goes through the different things that the different types of torture that they like to do down there. And basically it's bad. I won't even rob you of the revelation there, but it gets pretty graphic on the different things that happen. So there's some language, there's some violence, there's like you see someone get shot in the head, and like there's blood splatter if you're not one of those type of people that doesn't like the gruesome. So it does get into the nitty-gritty with that, but again, you're just kind of going back and forth, and you're like, based on what they show you earlier, you're really curious as to why, what's in there, what's out there about this man that would make him redeemable. And over the course of the film, you kind of get some hints, but then it just doesn't look good for him. You learn more about Lucian's character as a angel who fell from heaven and now has been stuck in hell working judgments, basically. Like, he's a guy who was at the top, and now he still does the same job, but he's not on the good side. He's on the other side. And basically he's bored with his life. He doesn't believe in humans anymore, that type of thing. So you learn about him over the course of the film. And then by the end, you kind of, there's one twist that you didn't expect, and it adds a new element to what's going on. And then after you get that twist, they hit you with another one unrelated to that first one, really, that you won't see coming. And it was a very satisfying ending. Like it went a certain way on the judgment, but then the other twist gives you another way to look at this film as well. So it was again, I try to do these types of recaps and reviews without spoiling the movie. And so I really enjoyed it, because the entire time I'm trying to figure out what possibly could be in his past. I'm like excited to see what they're going to bring out next, and the little jokes they make about heaven and hell, but then the also references to familiar names from history or the Bible and things like that come up. And it was just it was an interesting experience. It was smartly done, I think. The actors all did a great job. I thought it was a really, really, really good movie for what it was. And the payoff at the end was worth it. I'll say that. So if someone was asking for a movie to watch, and depending on what they're looking for, I think it was an enjoyable hour and a half or what have you. I would definitely put this on a recommendation list. I'm probably going to put it on my recommendation list. One of the things I want to be doing for Hit a Remote is like a top 5 or what have you, video on demand releases of the month or what have you, something like that. So I'm not going to continue to go in circles about this one. Again, I thought it was interesting. Kept me on my toes, made me laugh, and then has a nice payoff at the end. So look for Limbo. It is on video on demand platforms. You can also buy the DVD if you prefer to get your movies that way. It'll probably be on Redbox or something like that potentially as well. Or if you have a DVD rental store in your area anymore. The one in my area just shut down a couple weeks ago. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Check it out if I made it sound interesting at all. All right, so to close this out, I promised y'all the bonus story of how trash AT&T was tonight or in the past couple of weeks. So 2 weeks ago, I believe it was on a Sunday, might have been a Monday, I realized that there was something weird happening with my internet. And so I reached out to AT&T, tried to get someone to come out after they realized they couldn't fix my issue remotely, and they said they couldn't get someone out for a week. So I waited an entire week. This past Monday, AT&T sent someone out, and the guy came out. He was highly perplexed at the fact that he couldn't understand why my internet was working. So first thing first, after when he set up my appointment, the guy called. He was supposed to come between 2 and 4 because I am working from home and I take my lunch around 2. So I set it up that way. He calls at like 11:30 saying, "Hey, I'm in your neighborhood. I can just run by now and give it a look. If it's just your modem, then we can switch out the modem," because that's what the guy who set up the appointment thought it might be. So I was like, "Yeah, come on by." 10 minutes later, he called. He's like, "Hey, man, I rang the doorbell. Nobody came." I was like, "Huh? No, nobody rang the doorbell. Somebody would have heard it if you did." So then it hit me. June 1st, I moved from one spot to another about 8 to 10 minutes away from each other. And I was like, this dude's probably at the old address. So after I realized that, I called him back. I was like, "Hey, man, are you at XYZ address?" And he was like, "Yep." And I was like, "That is the place that we moved from. My services were transferred from that address to this one. Do you still have time to come over here?" I told him it's 10 minutes away. He said, "All right, cool." He came over, looked at it, switched out the modem, said that he didn't have anything coming up for this address, and then thought that maybe that was the issue, was that they didn't ever really switch my services over. And so he calls the lady. He wants to check something. She has him on hold for like 20 minutes. This is now cutting into my schedule at work. It's causing problems. So eventually he was about to give up before someone finally picked up. They go over it and he's like, "Yep, it is what I thought." Apparently the technician that came out to set up my internet. Now he came out, he looked at the modem because they told me to take my modem from the other house and bring it to the new house. And he looked at it. He was like, "Yeah, this model is obsolete. I'm going to give you a new modem and no charge. It'll just upgrade your speed from blah, blah, blah to blah, blah, blah." I was like, "Bet. Not going to complain about upgraded speed at no extra charge. Cool. Sounds legit." So he did that, set it up, walked through the password and all that with me, walked through how to make sure I'm getting good coverage throughout the whole house, walked through the upstairs and everything to make sure every room had good reception. All was good. He left. Everything was great. No issues for the past month and a half until there were issues. And so neither one of us understood. I was paying the bill. Everything was good. So the guy tells me, the new guy that's come out, "Hey, man, it appears that guy that set you up gave you a brand new account," which was news to me. He didn't tell me he gave me a brand new account. So meanwhile, I'm paying on the old account, which was supposed to be switched over to this new address. So he left the old account open at the old address. That's the one I'm still paying on. and he gave me a new account, did not alert me that I had a new account. So now on the new account, it appears that I'm delinquent. And so what had happened to my internet is that they had cut my internet services off. So now I'm out here looking like a deadbeat internet user. To get my internet services restored, I had to make a payment for the past 2 months up front rather than waiting for my refund. So he did initiate a refund on the old account that I had been paying on and was going to close it out, but did not restore my services despite the fact that this wasn't my mistake. So I paid the $180 to make sure that I had internet services that day, and it did go through effective immediately. I still haven't gotten my refund a week later now. And they charged me late fees, which I'm going to be calling about that too. Just a bad situation all the way around. If I cared enough, I would probably cancel AT&T and go with somebody else, because this is just ridiculous. They also, I believe, when they canceled my old account, which nobody asked them to do, they got rid of my old phone number, which I've had for maybe 15 years. It was a very simple number, very easy number to remember. All of the contacts and hospitals and everything else, anything important has that number. And I don't know what the new number is. Is the situation that I'm in. So yeah, I'm going to be contacting them again, since nothing seems to happen unless you contact these people. And I'm going to have to put some bass in my voice this time, because I do tend to be too nice to customer service people. Being a long time customer service person myself, I know that it sucks when you're taking the heat for something you had nothing to do with, but it is what it is. I'm gonna need some refunds. I'm gonna need some gift cards. I'm gonna need some concessions. Whatever the case may be, this whole process has been trash, and I'm gonna need some compensation. Basically, that's how it goes down. But that's enough of that. I really didn't even plan to do this before I started the pod. But, I only had to review one movie this week, and I had a story to tell. No biggie. And so I decided to throw that in. This has been yet another edition of the Bibbs Corner Podcast. I am your host, Mike Bibbins, a.k.a. at Bibbs Film for the movie stuff. At MBibbs if you like movies and socialism. And if you are a sports fan, check me out at Bibbs Corner as well on Twitter. I have a Facebook page, but I'm trash when it comes to Facebook. And unless I start getting some engagement on there, I may just stop using it completely. But yeah, that's it. We'll be back next week. Hopefully I'll watch more than one movie next week. And then on the sports side, this is the last week of the seeding games for the bubble play-in. And so we'll get to the playoffs potentially starting as well. So be on the lookout for both things, and I'll catch you next time.